Hey there, welcome to your RAMP employee training. Today we'll be covering cardholder basics, card manager basics, as well as a brief AP overview. As a cardholder in RAMP, you have access to RAMP support. Support is available for you in application as well as by contacting the number listed on the screen. And support is there for you for anything technical support or transactional support related. For any specific questions in regards to your own limits or spend controls, please reach out to your own finance team. So let's get started on basics for employees. First and foremost, you'll be accepting your invite with RAMP. You'll receive an email with the subject line Joining Company on RAMP. Click on the Accept Invite button to create your account. This should take no more than 5 minutes for you to create, and you'll be guided through prompts on your screen. Once you've accepted your invite, I'd love to call out communication preferences in RAMP. In your own personal settings, you are able to customize how you receive notifications from RAMP, whether through SMS, through email, or if you've downloaded the RAMP mobile app, through push notifications. Secondly, within your personal settings, you are able to add other emails. The reason you can do this is so you'd be able to add and forward receipts from another email address. A perfect example for you is you have a Lyft account that is in your personal email and you've added your work card to use with your Lyft account. If you've added your personal email as your forwarding receipt from your personal email, if you use your work card ever with your Lyft account, automatically that receipt would be forwarded over to you. So friendly call out to always feel free to add an email forwarding to allow you to forward receipts from other emails. Noting that if a receipt will not match if you forward it from an email that is not linked to your RAMP account. Wonderful. So before we get into using your new card, let's pop into the platform. So here I am logged into my RAMP tab. I can see my RAMP overview on my left side. And on my one screen, I'm able to see all my cards in my name, as well as all my activity. We'll be moving back to the My RAMP tab shortly, but I'd like to take you over to your settings. So bottom left corner, like previously shown, you're able to add in your personal email in your personal settings. Secondly, coming over to notifications, you're able to toggle on and off your SMS email. And if you've downloaded, as mentioned, that mobile application, you can enable push notifications. Please note, the system will require you to, at minimum, have email notifications on for both missing items in person and missing items online. The reason for this is due to policy requirements, i.e., after you swipe your card, you will be required to submit your receipt or memo or any coding. So these are required in RAMP to keep on, but you can always select SMS and then choose to toggle off email. And then feel free to customize the remainder of your notifications in here. Lastly, if you are doing reimbursements, you can head over to your banking tab here and connect your bank account to RAMP. By doing this, you will be able to request for reimbursements inside of RAMP, meaning your company will be able to directly pay you straight into your own bank account. And those approved reimbursements will typically come through within 2 to 3 business days. Lovely. So heading back over now to our deck, coming into, before we hit on your overall My RAMP tab, let's go into using your RAMP card. Everyone in RAMP has the option to have one physical card and unlimited virtual cards per person. Think about virtual cards as limits. So everybody can have, as I said, one physical card and then unlimited virtual cards. If you were invited to receive a physical card, it will arrive for you in about 3 to 5 business days. And then while you're waiting for your physical card, you are always able to access your virtual card that was created for you within the platform to begin using until your physical card arrives and you activate it. Some friendly callouts. RAMP cards work with your Apple Wallet and Google Pay. And I'll be showing you that there will be some category and potentially some merchant restrictions on your cards. Coming through to even iron out the physical versus virtual cards here. Physical cards are used for any in-person transactions, and virtual cards we more often see using in terms of your subscriptions, office equipment, things of that nature. Regardless, when you open up Ramp and you go directly to your My Ramp tab, you will see exactly what card or cards you have in your name and where you're able to spend and how much you're able to spend on. One quick call out to note is if you do end up having multiple virtual cards, anything you buy with your physical card would automatically be matched for you. So you're always able to simply tap that physical card and then your virtual limit would be able to be included there. Coming through to showcase this, if we come back over to your My Ramp tab, you'll be able to see on your screen if you have virtual cards or if you have a physical card. Please note here, I don't have a physical card. So if I were to want to request a physical card, I would be able to do so here. Secondly, in terms of your overall cards, you're able to see your full list of cards, as well as the dollar amount left on your card, how much you've spent, and as well as all of your recent activity history. Coming back over to our slide deck here. While we get into your My Ramp tab, you are going to start using your card. And it's very important when you start using your card that you'll be having to assign some information to your transaction to account for that expense. So the way that works is in your My Ramp tab, rather than even scrolling through your full list of all your credit card transactions that you've made in the system, we will automatically highlight for you all the transactions where you are missing items. So I can come in to my missing items and I can click on see all 10, and right from my full list, I'm able to see exactly what I'm needing to complete for those. I need to upload a receipt for Sweetgreens. I need to add my memo. I need to code my department, and I need to code my project. Please note, some of these will be automatically coded for you as your finance team works on automation rules for you. So if you ever have to code a certain transaction, when you repurchase at that merchant, that may already be pre-coded for you at the next time you transact with that merchant. All that being said is simply from your My Ramp tab, whether you're on the web application or whether you're on the mobile application, we will highlight for you your missing items to be able to click into them and simply review and go through each one. So I will pull up Drizzly as an example here, and I can see that I'm missing my 5 items. So I can go ahead and do all my coding requirements needed in terms of adding in what is required for me down here. What is required of me, you'll know it is based on what is noted for you in terms of also the memo or the receipt. Lastly, as you're doing your coding through your transaction, if you want a clarification on perhaps how to code this transaction correctly, you can always leverage the activity feed and directly mention in that activity feed who you would like to speak to. As well, coming through in your recent activity, let's pull up an example of another transaction here. I see on this transaction, all I'm missing is just my receipt. However, I have misplaced my receipt. If you ever have misplaced a receipt, you are always able and suggested to request a policy exception. And here you are able to provide the reason of why you didn't receive a receipt. Perhaps a vending machine broke and so a receipt was unable to be retrieved. Things of that nature, you're able to put that in and click submit. Highly suggest that you request a policy exception if you are missing a receipt, because you would continue to get notified of those missing policy requirements on your card. So coming back over to our deck, just to wrap this all up, you have your rules. Our system will denote to you what is required on those transactions for you to code, and you're able to successfully do that within the platform. We've started to run through flagging transactions, in terms of if you needed to request a payment, request an exception for that lost receipt. This is a great example now of flagging some transactions. So within Ramp, let's say by chance you used your card accidentally. That could be for a personal charge, or you need to dispute your charge, or something is out of policy. Whatever those reasons are, all you need to do is come into your Ramp tab here, and you'll be able to come into your transaction, click on More in the bottom left corner, and be able to click on, if you have to dispute the transaction for some reason, you're able to click into dispute, review the information of that transaction before submitting it over to the Ramp support team, and please follow through the appropriate prompts in regards to why you are disputing that specific transaction. If you're flagging a transaction as accidental, once again, clicking into More, selecting Flag as Accidental, and you're able to run through flagging this as an accidental charge over to your team. So overall, this is our flow on being able to see your My Ramp tab, your missing items, quickly call out any of your, whether it is requesting your policy exceptions, whether it's doing any disputes on your transactions you need to, things of that nature. Lovely. So with that, we'll head back over now to our tab. And we've gone through what you're required on your post spend in terms of you swiped your card, how to see what items you're missing from a coding perspective, all from your My Ramp tab. However, I have two things I'd like to run through with you in terms of notions in Ramp, such as requesting a new card and requesting a card limit increase. Within Ramp, on your Ramp tab, you have access to see your cards. If you don't have a card and you need to request spend, that's what you're able to do by clicking on your Request Spend tab. So this will give you the option of, I don't have a card that I can purchase something I need to that's going outside my typical budget, that's actually asking for a different budget. Whatever that nature is, simply come into Request Spend. You're able to request a new card. If you need a physical card, that's where you can request a physical card. Please note, if you already have a physical card, this would be grayed out for you since, as previously mentioned, one physical card per person, and then you can have as many virtual cards as you would like. So I'll come in and request a virtual card here, and I can say, what is this for? And so I can do an example of, this is for a team software subscription, and it's one time. And I'm actually looking for $10,000 only for one time. So here I am putting in my details of what I'm looking for. So we can add in what you're looking for, put in your amount. What is the frequency that you're looking for? Is this a one-time spend? Do you need this to reset for you on a weekly basis, monthly, whatever those reasons are? And then come into your request details here, and please be as descriptive as you can for your team to let them know why you're requesting this card. New vendor spend, whichever reasons you need, you can go ahead. The advanced piece at the bottom will be taken care of by your approvers. So when you're requesting a new card, please focus on your top details, and then you can go ahead and click on Request Card. Once you go ahead and do that, you can see virtual card requested. And if I come back to my Ramp tab here, my one-stop shop within Ramp, I can see here that card that I just requested. I see my reason here. It's being approved by Meredith. And I can always come in and make any edits if I need to, or altogether cancel that request. So that is on asking for new spend, i.e. you don't already have a card to fulfill that spend on. Flip side is, let's say you already have a card and you're requiring a card increase, whether it's a one-time card increase or it's a continuous one. To request for a card increase, all you need to do is head into the specific card that you're looking for that increase on, coming in to click on edit in the bottom left corner. Let's say I need an extra $5,000, so I actually need $10,000. And then I'm gonna keep this toggle on because it can have, my limit can revert back to $5,000 on that frequency. If I keep this toggled off, that means I'm asking for $10,000 monthly going forward. Toggled on, it will reset back to my original, and then I can go ahead and request changes. I can put in my reason, asking for 5K more for additional spend, whatever those reasons are. You can go ahead, put in your request changes. And now I can see here, even coming into my meals and entertainment card, I can see I have a pending request out on that card. So I can come in and I can view and I can see all my requests coming through. Another call out is, notice in Ramp, when you pull out a transaction, anytime you pull out what we call this drawer in Ramp, you'll see this activity feed. So on this card request, if this is really urgent and you're needing this additional 5K sooner than expected, you can always directly mention the approver. Can you please take a look at this request? And they will receive that notification to you. Wonderful. So to summarize in here, coming back to our deck, we have overall requesting a new card and requesting a credit limit increase, a card limit increase. Wonderful. Now, overall, just to quickly summarize, when it comes to Ramp, I know we talked through it originally in our notifications in terms of receipt, in terms of your notifications, whether it's email, SMS, or push notifications from mobile. So let's talk through those. So for when it comes to receipt matching with Ramp, when it comes to email, you can forward receipts and invoices to receipts@ramp.com, or simply wait for Ramp to email you about your online purchase, and noting in the screen that you can see on the right-hand side, you are able to go ahead and complete your coding within email. Specifically, friendly tip, adding that personal email so you can submit receipts from there. The other option is mobile application. Download that iOS or Android app, and then you can click into that specific transaction and either attach an existing photo or take a photo directly within the application, type in your memo, and complete your coding requirements. That's all available on the mobile app for you. And then lastly, for receipt matching, you have SMS options. So if you have signed up for notifications on SMS, you can submit those through text message in terms of your memo. You'll receive an automated link to be able to fulfill those coding requirements. And a pro tip is, if you're deciding to use SMS, that you can pro tip save our number in your phone. Hi, Ramp. Lovely. The next piece I would like to cover before we run through reimbursements is assistant mode. Within Ramp, you may be the assistant for somebody, i.e. responsible to submit their receipts for them, their memos, and do their coding. If you are an assistant to somebody in Ramp, you will know that because in the bottom left corner of your Ramp account, you will see assistant mode. Simply come in and click into assistant mode, and then I can see in my top left corner the 3 individuals that I am assisting for. And now I see I'm looking at Oscar, and I can come in now to Oscar and go ahead and complete any requirements that I need to on Oscar's end. And then once I'm completed on Oscar's side, I can switch over and move over to my other accounts. So you're able to toggle between those different individuals that you are submitting their receipts, memos, things of that nature for them. And then switching back over into your main account, you can just simply click on back to my Ramp in the top right corner. Now that we're back into Ramp, we've gone through overall your requesting spend time, asking for a card limit increase, coding your transactions, being able to quickly call out what items you're missing, any items that are out of policy for you to review. I'd like to also show you reimbursements within Ramp. Within Ramp, we can come in and click on New Reimbursement. And just like on the credit card side, you have receipts@ramp.com to forward your invoices and receipts. On the reimbursement side, you have reimbursements at ramp.com. So by emailing an invoice receipt over to reimbursements at ramp.com, this will create a draft reimbursement for you. You can email directly to reimbursements at ramp.com. You can upload directly into Ramp, or you can create a reimbursement manually. I'll come in here as I have a current reimbursement already sitting in my draft mode. This is sitting in my draft mode because I emailed this receipt. I emailed this to receipts at reimbursements at ramp.com. So coming in here, I can head down to Air Canada. I can see here, I pulled in the Air Canada, the merchant, the amount, the transaction date, what my expense was for. I can come down here. I still have not completed my coding. So any coding requirements, I can make sure that I've completed and filled out here. Once my reimbursement is good to go, I'm able to click on submit. If I'm not ready to submit this reimbursement yet, you can simply save that draft and it will always sit in your drafts until you are ready to click submit. Once that reimbursement is ready to go, you're able to click on submit. You can simply confirm our place of residence and we'll come in here and I'll click on submit reimbursement. And once that reimbursement is submitted, it will end up for me in my pending. And pending will show me that it is pending review from my manager, which I can see right here is Meredith. If I need to reach out to Meredith about this specific reimbursement request, once again, I can always go to my activity feed and directly mention Meredith here to keep it all contained within that one reimbursement request, as opposed to back and forth in email or a different solution that you're using. So that's on your reimbursement side, whether it's emailing to reimbursements at ramp.com, uploading in Ramp, or you're able to add one manually. The last piece I'd call out is mileage reimbursements. Within Ramp, if your system has this set up, we're able to add in your start date. You're able to add in your end date. And then from here, the system will automatically pull together a map for you, calculate your distance along with the unit. And you can add in your trip date. You can specify what it exactly was for. So trip to visit clients, and we'll be able to go ahead and submit anything that you need to on this end. As well, to let you know, this draft is now sitting here for me too. So I can always come back in, and if I'm having stops throughout the day, I can always continue building out this mileage reimbursement and have all my start, stops, and addeds in. System will automatically update for you, and then you're able to fully go ahead and submit that reimbursement. Once you submit that reimbursement, within 2 to 5 days, that will end up in your own personal bank account. Wonderful. And lastly, just to close this off, communications from Ramp. You'll be receiving some in regards to if you're approaching your card limit. You'll receive a warning on that, so you can always go ahead and request that card limit increase to ensure that you don't have a decline if you're approaching a limit. Any transactions of yours that are out of policy, that were flagged out of policy, you'll receive notifications. Any updates being made to cards, so for example, your policy being updated or the limit being changed in terms of any updates. And then lastly, on your approval side, for any card approvals that you've put through. Wonderful. So with that, we're now going to move more over into the manager side. So coming into the manager side, we're going to really focus in on manager review. And when is this? If you need an expense or a vendor specific card or a transaction approval or a reimbursement request, whatever those reasons are, those will all come through to you in your inbox. It's really all about ensuring that we are making sure that any transaction that's coming through your system or any new requests coming through is noted and tracked and approved. So there's only 3 simple actions managers need to take: approving transactions, flagging any transactions, and then simply waiting for your team to submit their missing receipts and memos and coding. Ramp automatically reminds your employees so you don't have to, although I will be able to show you a way to do so. So if I come now back into my Ramp tab, I am now in a manager view. So please note there's a few additional settings here. So I'd like to call out bottom left corner. If we go to settings now for the manager side, if you go to notifications, you'll have a few more notifications in terms of not just personal notifications, but then you'll also have ones in regards to any approvals if you're part of those, any overall company notifications, and then if you're part of any bill pay approval flows, those will be there for you as well. Banking's still the same. Everything is still the same from manager to employee, just a few more notifications that you can iron out and customize for your liking. Coming now on your left-hand side, my Ramp tab, same thing goes for you like it does for your card holders. Here's where you can request your own spend, submit your own reimbursement. This is where you can view all of your own transactions, see all the cards in your name, see all your own missing items, so forth and so on. Two new tabs that I'd love to call out for you is your team tab and the expense tab. Coming over to the team tab here, you will be able to see the full list of team members underneath you and then that hierarchy below them. So within your own team tab, I'm able to see that full list of all those users directly below me, and then below, I'm able to then go ahead and search and filter, slice and dicing by department, or even slice and dicing by, as Meredith, I only want to look at my direct team. So I can also focus in specifically on that view. You're able to even come in specifically to each team member. You're able to see their overall card requests that they've put through from an individual level, overall how many cards are already in their name, what they've spent, and also able to see any changes that were even made for that user's account. As a manager, you'd be able to come in here too and edit any of their access as needed. I'd like to pop over now to your expense tab. Now, your My Ramp tab, as a friendly reminder, are your transactions in the system. The expense tab for you is all your team's credit card transactions in the system. So these are your team's transactions. So here you're able to say, show me all my direct reports, slice and dice by only your direct team, being able to really hone in on specific transactions that you need to. As mentioned, we will be sending out reminders to your team when they are missing items, but as a manager in the system, you're able to access missing items, top right corner, and in one click be able to remind all your card holders about all their missing items, or individually be able to remind each card holder. It's completely up to you on your flow of how to do so. Friendly reminder, you also have a search and filter out here as well to use. As well, within the transaction tab, you'll also be able to see all your team's transactions that are out of policy in terms of if they were auto flagged by the system, i.e. something that was set up by your admin team, or if they were flagged by you specifically. So in that example, I can see here, this was flagged by me in my policy information. I flagged Blue Bottle. So I can go ahead and either decide to approve this or speak to Kelly and end up rejecting this out. But I'm going to go ahead and I can end up approving this, saying this was, maybe this was a mistake. I did not mean to flag this one. Mistake, not flag. Noted. This was for a customer meal. So you're always able to see everything that's in out of policy. And then when we've gone ahead and we've reviewed that, it's been flagged, but then it was approved. So you're always able to see in out of policy simply any of those that you need to approve that are in regards to you. And then really important for your team as well is you can see all the transactions in your team that have declined, and you're able to see the specific reasons in regards to why their transactions did decline. So a quick summary. We had your team tab, which shows all your team members underneath you and then below. You have your expense tab, which is your team's credit card transactions in the system. Friendly reminder, highly suggest leverage your filters if you are managing people, let's say in different locations, in different departments. You are able to pull out any field in Ramp or any accounting field or any type of notion on your transaction to ensure that we can slice and dice these so you can see exactly where your team is spending and how, and being able to really highlight that missing item piece. But fundamentally, as a manager, you have your inbox, and your inbox will let you know directly what requests are coming to you from a card request perspective, i.e., did someone request a new card for you to approve? Do you have any transactions that you need to approve? Transactions that need to be approved means the transactions have already gone through. You are just a secondary check to ensure that these are legitimate. You then also have your reimbursement requests that have come through. So your inbox in Ramp is truly that one-stop shop for you to go ahead and run through all of your approvals. So we can do one as an example here. If we come into card requests, I can see here that Stanley is requesting a card for wellness spending. I can come through, review exactly what he's looking for. If I need to add in any coding on myself, I can go in and make any of those changes, and I can go ahead and click on approve and issue card, and now Stanley will have his card. Alternatively, I would love to say, call out to you, what if the card request needs to be rejected, or before rejecting this, you would like to chat with this card holder? Once again, head to your activity field, directly mention that card holder to let them know, to ask them a bit more information about why they're requesting it. If not, if you know this is a request that shouldn't come through, simply click on reject and explain why you are rejecting the request, i.e., please use the card you already have in your name. Please request a card limit increase from a card already you have, or this card is not applicable to you. Whatever those reasons are, you're able to put that through and reject the request. Coming through on your transaction tab, same thing goes. You're able to even do some bulk approvals or bulk flagging for transactions. And when it comes to your transactions approvals, you're either approving that transaction or you're even flagging that transaction. And just like on any approvals coming through to you, if you ever want to add an additional approver in because you'd like secondary help or support on it and would like someone else to look it over, within that request, whether it's a card request, a transaction request, a reimbursement request, I can click into anyone and add an approver. So I'm actually going to head and add David. I'd like David actually to come ahead and approve this one first. So I've now put David first, which means it's now out of my direct view because it has to go to David and then me. So that is now out of my view. So I've now been able to add an approver, and you're able to do this, friendly reminder, on each type of request coming through. Wonderful. So we've covered your overall manager review. We've covered your overall inbox, approving those transactions, flagging those transactions if you need to. We've gone through also resolving those out of policy transactions in your expense tab as well. And last but not least, I would love to be able to run you through overall when you are part of the AP process and you are drafting and creating bills or you're approving bills. How does that work? So this is a great collateral for you to follow up with and look at, but the best way to show you the approval flow within Ramp is to come in here and show you by heading over to my Bill Pay tab. So heading over to Bill Pay here, I can see I have a drafts tab for approval, for payment, and history. If you have access to the Bill Pay tab, that means you are going to be either required to be creating and drafting those invoices and being part of the approval process. So how does that work? First and foremost, how do bills even come in to this draft tab? They simply come in by two ways. One, by your entity email. So within Ramp, we will have an ap.ramp.com email address that when you forward your invoices over to this email, automatically your bill will be drafted for you on screen. The other option is you can directly upload it into the system here by clicking on New Bill, and you can upload your invoices below. And just as mentioned, you can always forward your invoices over to Ramp. And then that third option, if you needed to, you can always create a bill without an invoice. But typically, best practice is that invoice is there, send it over to that AP email, or you can upload your invoice directly in here. Once the invoice comes into Ramp and it's in bill and it's in draft mode, you're able to come in to that specific vendor, that bill, and come in and click review. So I can come in here and I can see that this is a bill. It's heading over to its Michelin, so I can see my vendor details in here. So I've sent over this invoice. I forwarded it over to my AP email. It scanned my invoice for me, pulled in my necessary details, and now I'm just going to go in and do some pre-coding because I see this wasn't set up for me. Please note, this can already be set up for you in the system for anything on the pre-coding side that your finance team has been doing for you. If you ever need to exit that bill at any time, you're always able to save that draft. When it's in draft mode, this is really for you to be able to, if I come back over to that invoice I was in, it's your place to go in, verify that the bill is under the correct entity if you have separate entities, when you have separate entities set up, making sure all your vendor details are there for you, your invoice details, your line items. You're always able to add additional line items if you'd like to. Our system will also recognize splits. So if there's multiple splits on this, the system would have already done that for you. And then you're able to enter in how you're going to be paying this bill. Are we doing ACH? Or are we going to help move you over to a single-use Ramp card or an existing Ramp card? Benefit to this is we can get your company cash back on if you're using those Ramp cards. So either or, you're able to put in your payment details, add in your specific memo to the vendor if you'd like, and you can see underneath who this is going to flow to. How this is set up is your bill pay admins. They are the ones that are setting up how these are routing through. So if something doesn't look right to you, you're always able to just double check and make sure that we have this one routing correctly. That being said, once we actually review it and we're good to go, it will then move over to approval. And then it will be sitting in for approval for that individual to go ahead and approve the invoice. Whoever is the last on the approval end, so if I roll through here, the last person in the list will be the one that releases the payment. So for you as an approver in the system, all you need to do is focus on any drafts that you've created yourself. Do you need to review those drafts and fill out your applicable information and then send them over. Then they'll be sent over and they will sit in for approval. You'll be able to track the status of the ones that are in the system for approval. You're always able to come in to the specific bill and add additional approvers at the bottom if you need to. So you're always able to add those additional ones. You're also able to, same thing goes, on the activity side, if you need to chat with somebody in that approval flow or ask any clarifying questions in terms of payment type or whatever that is, you are always able to do so and directly mention who you need to on your within that specific bill. So overall, when it comes to AP and bills, and if you are part of that flow, how a bill gets moved into draft is either directly adding it into Ramp or emailing it over to your ap.ramp.com email address. Simply head into your draft mode, do your review, you can fill in your missing information that you need to do and complete that full flow, and then it will end up sitting in for approval and you're good to go there and your job is done. If any are in your name, you will have in your inbox bills. So When you are in bill pay, and let's say you're the one just drafting and creating those bills, you'll be sitting in the draft and creating mode. If you have any bills that are waiting for you to be approved for you specifically, if you are part of an approval flow, once again, would love to call out, head back to your inbox. You will have that bill flow for you in your inbox. So I can see here, I've actually done approving all my bills. Thank you all so much for your time today. Please feel free to leverage this collateral and wishing you happy spending with Ramp. Thanks so much.